Hey guys. All right, so today is Thursday the 7th. So we're in the green box here. And for our math, we worked in 321. So on page, or actually 318 is where we started. 321 was the independent. So in 318, let me share this here. All right, so in 318, we talked about remainders, and we took some notes as well. So with remainders, all right, so these are the notes that we took. So with remainders, you can have three different things that are going on. Let's say we have the quotient here is the answer. So let's say we have 20 divided by 5 is 4. But let's say we have 21 divided by 5. That would give us that remainder. There would be one extra left over because when you make 4 groups of 5, you get 20, but we started with 21, so there's that one that's left over. So that remainder, there's 3 things that we can do with it. If we have a word problem, sometimes we're going to use only the quotient. So sometimes we're only going to use this 4 and we're going to ignore the remainder. Sometimes the answer could be the remainder. It could ask us how much is left over, and then in that case we would put 1. And sometimes we have to add 1 to our quotient. So instead of saying 4, we would have to bump it up and say 5. So we looked at some examples of that. So we did in page 318, we looked at Ben here, who's doing tours, and he's got this glass blowing studio, and he can take no more than 7 people at a time on his to his tours. And so if 80 people want to see the glass blowing demonstration, how many groups of 7 can he show around? And so we did that here. Let's see if I can make this. Nope, that's as small as it gets. All right, so in each of these groups, we did this with our beans to show, but I'm just going to put the number here. So, get this out of the way. So we had groups of 7. So if we have 1 group of 7, 2 groups of 7, we've got 80 people. So we can make quite a few. That would be 21. 7 times 4 is 28. 7 times 5 is 35. 7 times 6 is 42. 7 times 7 is 49. 7 times 8 is 56. 7 times 9 is 63. 7 times 10 is 70, and 77 is 11 times 7. Oops, I'm sorry. I just meant to put 1 7 because these are groups of. So I was writing my things I was saying out loud. All right, 7 7 7 7 7. All right, so when we that right there was 77. Okay, so we can take 77 people and they fit into these equal groups. Well, from our story, we had 80 people. So there's 3 people over here that did not fit into a group of 7. And so with those people, we're going to make them, we're going to have to do some things with them. So the quotient here, we were able to make 11 groups because 11 times 7 is that 77. So we were able to make 11 equal groups of 7. The remainder that's left over after that 77 is 3, because 77 plus 3 more would give us our 80 people. Then it says Ben can give tours to 7 people at the time. The quotient is the number of tour groups of exactly 7 people he can show around. So Ben gives tours to 11 groups of 7 people. Well, Ben, he wants to give tours. If he wants to give tours to all 80 people, how many tours is he going to have to give? So this one here, this first one is we used only our quotient because we were talking about groups of 7. Here, this one, we have to add 1 to our quotient because he wants to give it for all 80 people. So instead of having this answer of 11 remainder 3, we're going to add an additional tour. So these people right here, they're going to make a group and they're going to do the tour as well. It's just their group is going to be a little bit smaller. They're going to have 3 people in it instead of the 7. So if he's giving it to all 80 people, then he's giving 12 tours. Then, so that's an example of adding 1 to the quotient. And then sometimes you use just the remainder. It said if here he's doing the tours for everybody, he does all the tours for 7 people in the group, and then it says the remainder is 3. So Ben's last tour will only have those 3 people. So again, he's done all his groups of 7 with the 7 people in each group. The last tour, there's 3 people that didn't fit into a group of 7, so they're going to be in a group by themselves, and they're going to make that group there, and there's just going to be 3 people. All right, the next one we did is the soccer players here. And with the soccer players and their coaches are going to a soccer game in vans. Each of the vans holds 9 people. How many vans are needed for 27 players and 4 coaches? Well, the first thing we had to do was we had to figure out how many total people there are. So it was 27 players and 4 coaches. So 27 plus 4 gives us a total number of 31 people. We know that 9 people can fit into a van. So we've got 31 people. So here's what we came up with. We had a van of 9, that was 18. Another van of 9 would be 27. And then we had 4 extra because when you divide this out, you get 3 remainder 4. So these 4 extra people, we had to add an additional van for them because we can't just say, "Oh, sorry, you don't fit, you don't go." We just get an extra van for those. So the actual number, instead of saying we need 3 vans, it's actually 4 to accommodate those 4 extra people. Okay. So here, we did 31 divided by 9, which gives us um, 39 divided by 9 equals 3 remainder 4. Since there are 4 people left over, 4 vans are needed to carry the players and the coaches. All right, so those were the ones that we did in class together, and we did page 321 as our practice problems for that. And students put their answers in here where it says under classwork, math responses Wednesday through Friday, they entered their answers there. And so then for reading today, all right, so that was math. Reading today, we looked at some comparing and contrasting with our oceans. So that was in Seesaw. So if you go down here to reading informational text, so we read right here, so page 12 to 14, which ocean is the smallest. So I'll let you read this story about this is talking about the Arctic Ocean and how it compares. And so we got that information and we added it here. So we talked about the Arctic Ocean and how we talked about the depth, how it's a lot more shallow than the other oceans. And then students, I gave them some time to go pick out. They picked another ocean to look up, and they went and did some research and found out, and we compared them. And so here, when you're using, when you're talking about comparing things, you can use a Venn diagram. You can put the first thing you're comparing on the left, the second thing you're comparing on the right. Things that you find that they have in common can go in the middle. And if it's specific just to that one thing, you put it on the outside. So we did that with the oceans and talked about things that they have in common and how they differ for that. And then students worked on their week 18 read aloud and independent activities. So again, they need to read The Dawn of the Donut. And then there's activities throughout where they are going and they're filling those out. So this is due tomorrow. So make sure you're working on that. In writing today, we went to Google Classroom and we worked more on this document with Awubis. So today we came up with a story. First, we reviewed the rules. Then we came up with a story and we were making some of our own. So here where it says time to create your own, we made up a story about this girl, Mary, and she's getting ready for the day. So we were using notes in our notebook, the one where we took, open it up. There it is. All right, so this page right here where we were talking about what Anubis stands for. So after, although, as, when, while, until, because, before, if, since. So we were using one of those Awubis words to start, and we were creating an opener. And so for example, if you say at the beginning of your sentence the word after, so after Mary woke up, comma, she went to brush her teeth. Okay. While she was brushing her teeth, comma, she was listening to music. So it's just this opener. You're making sure that when these words are at the beginning of a sentence and you have these at the beginning, you have to have the comma followed by a complete sentence. So just really making sure that comma is in the right place. So we were writing those there, so you can do that. And then we worked on our written composition right here, week 18 writing composition. And so with that, let me bring this back up. Today we were talking more, today was the day that we were talking about conclusions. And so yesterday we had looked at our prompt and we had worked on the body. So again, we're writing about something we've learned about and we're explaining why it's important to us. So here, I started off my introduction telling the reader about how I learned to play soccer. Then I'm going into my body, and this is not complete sentences, and it's just notes and things like that. But, anyways, my first paragraph is going to be all about how learning to play soccer is important because I learned teamwork. And the second one's going to be it's important to me because I learned to have good sportsmanship. And then the third is it's important to me because I had a lot of fun and made a lot of, had a lot of fun with friends and things like that. And then the last part of my paper is the conclusion. And so here, with the conclusion, um, and this is on, when you open that document, it's on there as well, but I just rewrote it here. You have that transition. So we looked at some different transitions. Students picked out one that they liked just to have kind of a go-to. I always start off as you can see, or in conclusion, something like that. How you feel. So you're tying it back to the central idea. So I put, as you can see, and then I'm going to put how I feel about this. I have learned quite a bit from playing soccer. Then you're going to hit those main ideas from your body. So those main ideas were teamwork, sportsmanship, having fun. So I put, I learned teamwork, comma, sportsmanship, comma, and how to have fun. and then you leave it off with a wish or a hope. My hope for you is that you too have a fun activity or sport to teach you these important lessons as well. So when you follow that down, um, that's all you need. Those four things will give you a nice complete paragraph. So transitioning, letting your reader know that this is the end, and then how you feel about what you wrote, those main ideas, just not being so repetitive, but just summing them up. I learned teamwork, sportsmanship, and how to have fun. Just a quick summary. Not This is not the place to put the details. The details belong in the body, and then a hope, and then that wraps it up for you. So students were to finish their conclusion tomorrow. We'll work on editing and revising and really checking for spelling and rereading it and making sure that there's nothing we want to switch out, or any of the revising things, and making sure that our capitalization and all of that's complete. And then we will have hopefully plenty of time to share. So that was for writing. Then for science today, we did, let me open this. For science today, we did a investigation in STEM scopes. All right, so it says, hello there. Today we are going to study real weather conditions as measured by you, the scientists. Cold, hot, windy or not, we'll find it and measure it. So we took some notes on the weather map here. So it says it's handy to know what the weather will be doing each day. We can use weather maps to show what's happening across a large area. Since we can't see the real globe and clouds moving around, we can use symbols to show us what's going on. And so we put these weather symbols. So when we see the red L, it stands for low pressure. Low pressure, I remember L for lousy. There's storms, there's clouds, it's lousy. You don't want to go outside. It's not enjoyable weather to be out in. Versus H, so when you see that, that stands for high pressure. This tells us that we're going to have happy weather. So H for happy, L for lousy. Happy weather, it's enjoyable, it's fair, it's we want to be outside when it's sunny and not raining and stuff like that. When you see this blue line with these triangles that are blue, they look like to me they remind me of icicles. And so this is a cold front. So I associate blue with the cold, I remember it, and the blue with the triangles looking like the icicles. So cold, rainy, lots of wind, versus the warm, red, like hot. They look like little suns. So this is, you may have some rain, but once it clears out, it's going to be nice and clear with warmer temperatures. Then you can have a stationary front where the cold front and the warm front, they meet each other and neither one gets out of the way. So they hang out together and you can have a long period of rain in one spot. This is called a stationary front because it doesn't go anywhere for a while. It just kind of is stuck there. All right, so we took some notes and then we went back here. All right, so it says we're gonna do some measuring and learn about weather and climate. So we made some predictions. Make this full screen. Make me start all over. All right, so we made a hypothesis. We said that weather is the one that changes, not day. Weather is the one that changes from day to day. Climate is not. So weather maps help us to predict the weather patterns, and we're going to use some tools. So these are all things that we talked about together, and I cannot see this. All right, so I think this is the one. I don't know how to move this white bar here, so I'm gonna guess. I think it's the one that tells us, is asking about finding the temperature. So we can measure temperature with a thermometer. I think this is the one about measuring water. So a rain gauge is perfect for measuring rainfall. We're going to record our observations in a journal and pencil, with our journal and pencil. And then to measure the wind is the windsock. And then, so we're going to go to the forest here. And here, if we're measuring the weather conditions, we can measure the rainfall. We can measure the current temperature and the wind direction. Yearly hours of daylight and number of hurricanes per year, those are not, those are things over time. So those are talking about climate. If we're just talking about weather conditions, those are what we can do. So it says thermometer is going to help us with the temperature. We're going to put the temperature here, measure it's 27 degrees Celsius. Now let's use a rain gauge. We're going to measure the precipitation with a rain gauge because it measures the rainfall. So we're going to stick it out here in an open spot. And it rains, and we get 13 millimeters there for the rain. And then we're going to look at the wind, which helps us know the wind direction. And so we're going to take our windsock and we're going to observe it. We need our compass pointed towards the north. And if the windsock is moving this way, west, opposite where the wind is coming from, would be that it's blowing from the east. So it's blowing towards the west. That means the wind is blowing towards the east. There we go. All right, great job. All right, so let's go look at some maps, it says. So we're going to match these. So thunderstorms would be the storm clouds. We've got rain, partly sunny with the sun hiding behind the clouds. Overcast is cloudy, snow, and sunny. Here, high pressure, H stands for high pressure. That's our happy weather. Low with the L, that's our low pressure system, lousy weather. Warm front with red, cold with the blue. So icicles in the sun. That's how I help remember them. All right, so now we're going to look on the map, and it's asking us about, I think it's San Diego that's first. So San Diego is sunny and has a high pressure system because I see that H there. And then, I can't see. Let's see if I make it small. There we go. All right, San Diego. All right, so sunny and high pressure. Now, Seattle is got the low pressure system because I see the L there. It has, it's rainy, and it has that, that cold front there, but it's not asking me about that, so let's keep going. All right, now Houston is sunny, and I see the high pressure system there, so that happy weather, that's why it's all sunny outside. And then Chicago, I see the low pressure system. We're going to have some lousy weather here, and it's partly cloudy, so maybe the rain is coming. All right. Temperatures, we've got San Diego is at 21 degrees. Seattle is at 14. Chicago is at 17. And Houston is at 31. All right, so we measured the wind direction and temperature on one particular day. We were looking at weather because it was just that one particular day. But when we're talking about over time, that is climate. So here, if it's rainy most of the winter, that's a long period of time, that's climate. Generally cold, that's talking about over time. If it says today, then that's a keyword for weather because it's only one day. Same thing with New York. Same thing, it's raining outside. That's talking about now, not over time. So those are all weather. And then if it says it's often, that's meaning over time. So anything over time, a period of a long time is climate. Here and now is weather. All right, so here's our results. We're going to use a bar graph to help us compare the results. And here's our bar graph. So here's our temperatures in the different cities. We could tell that the highest temperature was Houston. The one with the lowest temperature was Seattle. All right, so it says measure temperature. We're using thermometer. Wind direction. We're using a windsock and compass. Measure precipitation. We're using a rain gauge. All right, so we looked at symbols. If it's snow, it says, what do these four symbols represent on a map? Rainy, sunny, partly cloudy, and snow. What do these symbols represent? Warm and cold front. What are these? High pressure, low pressure. Now let's answer some questions about the temperature we graphed. Which city has the warmest? So let's look again. So the warmest, oops, that's not what I want. Is that what I want? Oh, right here. All right, warmest was Houston. Coldest was Seattle. How much warmer is San Diego than Seattle? So San Diego is 21, Seattle is 14, so that's 7. How much colder is Chicago than Houston? All right, so, excuse me. Let me get my drink. Oh, goodness. So Houston is 31, Chicago is 17, so that would be 14. All right. Oh, my drink has been leaking all day today, making a mess. All right. So our hypothesis it was supported. We were on track there, and so we can stop there. So students then went to library. Let me move me back down here. So they went to library after that. And as they were trickling back in, they worked on their social studies assignment. So on the social studies assignment today, today is Thursday, so they went down to the Thursday page. Thursday has 2 articles. So the first 2 articles came from this, the first 2 questions came from this first article. And, excuse me, this last number 13 came from the second link here about in the Angel of Goliad. So they read that, and then for intervention today, we worked on solving some division problems and went back and looked at some of the topics we've been doing with division, and that was it. So make sure everything's due tomorrow. So you have your Google Classroom assignments and your Seesaw assignments. So make sure you are going through both of these. This one was for tutorials only. It's just if you did not do tutorials, you can do it as extra practice, or just let it sit here, and I will be taking it off shortly. And then make sure Dan the meteorologist, weather tools, your reading, your Dawn of the Donuts, all of that needs to be corrected. So make sure you're making sure that that's all ready to go. Alrighty. Thank you guys, and let me know if you have any questions.